Hello, Mr. Coin. And for this project, I did George Lucas. He was born on May 14th, 1944, in Menstro, California. His family attended Disneyland during its opening week in July 1955. He was interested in comics and science fiction. And with science fiction, he liked Flash Gordon series. His first film that he ever did was the TX 1138. He did this in his film class, his film school, and he won. So basically, the Warner Brothers. He went to the Warner Brothers, and he wanted them to make a feature length film version of the film. They said yes. So then it was released in 1971. Well, okay. And then after that movie, and then he moved on into a different movie called American Graffiti. And George Lucas wanted to be an independent filmmaker. So then he created his own company, Lucasfilm, in December 10th, 1971. American Graffiti, it was a great film. It had a lot. It did really well. It got 5 Academy Academy Award nominations, and they won a couple of them in there. Yeah. The beginning of a new franchise. So Lucas was influenced by Joseph Campbell, which did like myths and stuff, and the connection of myths and stuff like that. So he wanted to do that for his next film, Star Wars. So in September of 1973, the first draft of Star Wars was made. 20th Century Fox funded the movie since George Lucas couldn't fund all of it himself, so he had to go to them. In 1974, George started the first script. It was about 200 pages long, so you had to cut it into thirds. So the first third of this 200-page script is the first movie. Lucas Lucas wanted to sell merchandise for Star Wars. This was really the first time a movie sold merchandise. In the summer of 1975, Lucas found the visual effects company Industrial Light and Magic, ILM. And Lucas, for Star Wars, Lucas took 6 to 7 months to just get the cast. Then in March of '76, shooting began. Fox originally wanted a Christmas release, but they couldn't. So, due to the movie just moving really slow and a lot of difficult shoots, they had to push it to September, the summer of 1977. Um, it, George Lucas really had focus on what he wanted to do. It was really hard, and ILM was also having some struggle. They were trying to do something that never been doing before. Same with George Lucas, with him, directing this movie. It was so different from anything else. George Lucas basically he hired John Williams to do the soundtrack. did it in March '77, and the first trailer came out, but Lucas was still doing the movie. And the movie finally came out in May 25th, 1977. It got a lot of Academy Awards and got actually 10 nominees and won 7 of those. The sequels to Star Wars. So George Lucas now success with Star Wars could finally fund this next one. And since he had to, the company was getting bigger, Lucasfilm, so he had to basically do that and from the company. So he wanted to. So he didn't really direct this next one. He hired someone else to do it. And it went pretty well, but it did go over budget. But then Fox said, "Oh, I'll give you some money to just get this film out." Empire Strikes Back, released on May 21st, 1980. George Lucas was now the world's most successful independent filmmaker. With the money, he built a ranch that his whole team could work in, and it was called Skywalker Ranch. When Lucas put the credits at the end of it was very unusual to put the credits at the end. He got fined for it, and $250,000. Same for Jedi, the next film. He also didn't direct it, but he did help for that one. It was released on May 25th, 1983. It went its first day. It made $6.2 million. It was one of the biggest opening days. And after Star Wars original trilogy was done, he wanted to start a family, but George got a he got divorced, and after Return of the Jedi he got divorced after Return of the Jedi was done. He was left to raise his daughter by himself. But with the money he made with all 3 films, he put with getting new technology, with audio technology, with editing, sound, and some of them were like the edit droid and the sound droid, which were the world's first non-linear digital editing system. And in 1997, Lucas would add some of the CGI characters and perfect the original trilogy. Alrighty. Beginning of a new chapter in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. So basically, in 1994, he started writing episode 1 and the rest of the prequel trilogy. George Lucas would actually direct all 3 of these films. And this, for the first episode, George Lucas, he put in the first ever fully CGI character and this is the first character, and this was in history. It was huge. This film was one of the most anticipated films of all time. And the Phantom Menace released on May 19th, 1999. This marked the return of the Star Wars saga for the new generation. But the Phantom Menace was financially success at $28 million on opening day. The film the film had a mixed reviews. Some of the fans liked it, some of the fans didn't. Some even wanted George to do apology to the fans because the film was so bad. Yeah. The last years of Star Wars. Last years of Star Wars. So in 2005, he would be done with the prequel trilogy with the release of Revenge of the Sith. After that, he would write the outlines for the sequel films, which were the next ones he was going to do. But then in 2008, George Lucas created a TV show called The Clone Wars. And then he kind of got tired of that, and he kind of got tired of Star Wars and kind of wanted to retire. So then in October 2012, George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney for $4.1 billion. Also, Lucas gave his outlines to the sequel trilogy to Disney. Disney did not use it. He was kind of upset. He was felt betrayed, which kind of sad. And when he saw The Force Awakens, the first sequel film, he was outraged. He was so mad. He said that this story didn't drive the overall story, and it was basically a copy of the original Star Wars. Okay, so George Lucas changed the film industry. He really established the independent film market, changed epic production. George changed the way we look at movies and the way that movies are made. George changed storytelling by bringing back the sense of fantasy and wonder to films, which basically he made film fun and exciting. Star Wars is one of the most groundbreaking sagas in Hollywood history. He created the first ever fully CGI character in film history, and George Lucas went, went began. Oh my God, George Lucas went began want to begin a quest. So he uh basically had first he had a quest for creative freedom, became a philosophy and a cultural phenomenon, and he had then an empire of dreams. George Lucas, he was lucky. He did it all. Thank you.